Greetings, traveler. I am Sir Nox, the teller of tales. Would you like to hear one? Well, this first one is called Stealing the Spotlight, because I gave someone else the final kill. So this happened a week or so ago. We played a one-shot online with level 14 characters. We'd agreed with the DM optimization was fully on the table. I turned up with a Valor Bard that mostly supported our frontliners. The problem player was our Lockadin, a Warlock Paladin. The whole point of his character was fishing for critical hits, and then using Eldritch Smite and Divine Smite to dish out huge damage. The DM had laid out an extensive dungeon for us to rip and tear through. It soon became apparent he felt obliged to tell us exactly what to do. When an enemy misty stepped away from him, he told the DM he wanted to attack because he had Sentinel. After being told that he couldn't because it was a teleport and not movement, he sneered at me. OP counterspell it. I told him he wasn't gonna kill it next round anyways and that it wasn't worth it. Alright, I thought you played a support character, but fine. Here's the kicker. Once we arrived at the boss fight, some kind of devil, he still hadn't gotten to really show off his smiting potential. Therefore, I teleported into the enemy's reach and used the help action on the paladin to attack the devil, in addition to giving him inspiration. I then stepped back and described how I taunted the devil only to drop my sword and held out my hands, stepping backwards to provoke an opportunity attack whilst winking at the paladin. Oh, I get to make an attack? He rolled. Natural 20. The DM described how my risky play allowed the paladin to carve the fiend in two with the power of heaven and hell. I was overjoyed as I managed to do exactly what I wanted, help others play their character as the epic hero they imagined. Does my sword carve through OP's character as well? The paladin asked. The DM looked confused. I was dumbfounded. No, I wouldn't. The paladin sighed, and in character he grumbled at me not to get in the way of his monster killing. We ended the session pretty soon afterwards, but the following day I woke up to a bunch of messages that I hogged the spotlight and made his character seem like a wiener for relying on your character. I know for sure I am not playing with this same group again, which is a shame because the DM is awesome. I swear Wizards of the Coast needs to release a version of the game where you can play with yourself. Kinda call it the Wanker Edition. It's unfortunate you run into people like this, but that just seems to be the nature of anything. Best to you in finding a new group. Our next tale is called D&D Turf War at our local bar. This should be fun. I live in Chicago. We have a bar for just about any walk of life here in this big city of Midwestern values. My walk of life mostly incorporates TTRPGs, heavy metal, cold lagers, and cheese curds. So when I stumbled across a bar that specializes in all of the above, I instantly fell in love. Who wouldn't? The space is truly exceptional. They have a large but relatively private game room separated from the bar by a long hallway. Brutalist fantasy decor, vintage video games, great music, cheap lagers with a food specialization in Donner Bowls, and Putin paradise. The first time I stumbled across this place, I noticed the game room and a handcrafted Beholder beer bong hanging from the ceiling. I asked the bartender if they had D&D games I could attend as a player or a DM. They directed me to a Facebook group where they organize their events. This group has been meeting every Wednesday at 7:30. I dusted off the old Facebook app and started drafting a post. Hey, new to this community, I am an experienced DM and I am looking to run a D&D 5th edition one-shot on 3 weeks from next Wednesday at the bar. The one-shot is designed to incorporate a tarot card reading, and the party goes on a journey that fulfills the fortune of the cards. Let me know if you're interested. The post got a lot of likes and comments from interested players, but after a few hours I received a comment from the admin. Let's call him Gob. Sorry to burst your bubble, but this group is full already organized games hosted by myself and another DM. We have the back room reserved and usually fill up all the available seats we can without too much noise pollution overcrowding. We have been staying away from the 5th edition after running it at the bar for 4-ish years and have moved it on to DCC, a Dungeon Crawl classic. DCC, in my opinion, is far more suited for a bar game and much easier to learn for newcomers, as well as much less toxic in community, company, and also the inability to power game is a big plus from the system. AKA, get that 5th edition shit out of here, please. LOL. I'm kidding, but for reals, no thanks. Now, if you would like to talk to the bar and schedule another day or maybe play in front separate, you're more than welcome. Alternatively, you could just join us on a Wednesday and check out what we do before starting a whole new thing. Post was locked and comments were turned off after that. A little off-putting, condescending, and judgmental, but whatever, just a Facebook post. A few days go by and I decide to join them the following Wednesday. When I get to the table, the vibe is cold. Gob doesn't really engage with me when I tried to make some pre-game small talk. I tried asking questions about DCC, a system I was unfamiliar with, and they just tossed a book at me and said, look it up. I spent the rest of the pre-game reading about my class, looking up basic rules and trying to figure out the rest to stay alive in such a meat grinder system. Everything but my class got randomly generated. The background I got was farmer, so I had a pet pig with me. I named her Tulip and made my character very much love this pig like a child. The DM then started calling me pig fucker, and the party started chiming in. Whatever, although mean-spirited, it's still pretty funny. I just rolled with it into my character interactions. This dwarf named Ingot, being all too familiar with other dwarves, not understanding the innocent bond he has with his sweet Tulip, just like his dad, forcing him to be a minor, not understanding the passion for raising these wonderful creatures. As the game went on, Tulip was used to good effect, scouting ahead, creating distractions, and generally being an asset to the party. We get to a point where we saw a cliff face, nothing but a rope attached to a broken lift. Ingot, my dwarf, volunteered to go scout ahead by rappelling down the rope. Before he left, he said, "If anything happens to me down there, be sure you take care of Tulip for me." They responded with apathy about the pig. As Ingot starts descending, he sees a pink burl carrying toward him. It was Tulip! He drops his longsword to free up an arm to attempt to catch the pig. Rolling failed. Tulip falls to her death. The party had tossed the pig off the edge for no reason other than to be a dick. Now, I don't like to get upset about things that happen in an imaginary world, but I couldn't help but feel like this was an attack on me, the player. It was pointless and it was very mean. Narratively, it has left me no choice but to retaliate. This is not something Ingot would just ignore and shrug off. Ingot starts climbing back up with an intensity behind his eyes that burns hotter than his compassion for his blessed Tulip. Ingot was level 1. Most of the party was level 3+. The culprit behind the slaughter was a wizard. I did not know much about the game, but what I did know was that at level 1 I can choose a shove ability, or a successful roll. It moves any creature 10 feet in a chosen direction. The wizard just so happened to be standing on a cliff face. The sound of the pig's corpse slamming against the cold hard floor had woken up what seemed to be a massive insect. Ingot did not care. He has tunnel vision. He needs to avenge his pig. Ingot reaches the top of the cliff with the insect hot on his tail. He begins to shove the wizard toward the cliff. A success, but still 5 feet to go, the wizard casts darkness. Now, I wish I could tell you this ends in Ingot trifling with a level 4 wizard to avenge his poor Tulip. The wizard casts a calming spell on me. Since I were to keep shoving him, he would TPK, and some people have characters that they had been working on for months. So I decided to go out of my character and back off, at least until we kill this big bug. After we kill this bug, the calm spell is used again. The only way forward was down that cliffside. I was pretty checked out at this point, so both Ingot and I were pretty absent from the following roleplay. The wizard decides to make his way down the rope. Another player seemed to empathize with me. It was pretty apparent that all my fun got taken away. She found an opportunity to kill the wizard and took it. She cut the rope that the wizard was descending down. The session kind of ended soon after that, since the player was pretty upset. I realized this group was not for me, so I decided to take Gob's advice, start my own D&D night for Tuesdays. I asked Gob if I could post on his Facebook page in a private message, and he responded, "Please make another group. I reserved that group for Wednesday events. Sorry." I responded, "Damn, very unchill. I guess I'll do that then." He responds, "Unnecessary, dude." I spun up some ads, stated a Discord server, and began promoted the games and the server on various Facebook groups for local D&D meetups, as well as neighborhood pages. I got a lot of interest and started getting more players. Even some people who tried the Wednesday night group and had bad experiences with them had showed up. Our first night, we had a turnout of about 10. It was a big success. After a few weeks of running my games, I reached out to Golb and asked him if he wanted to join my server, so he could have a space to promote his games to my new audience. After all, a rising tide floats all ships. He joined and I created a space for him to talk about his DCC games. I asked him to come by and play in one of my games and he declined. We have been growing so much that I needed a second DM to host a second table. I asked Golb if he would like to lend a hand. He declined again. I gave the responsibility to a former Wednesday night player. We can call him James. Oddly enough, Golb started showing up and playing in his games. Every once in a while, we did a special night where instead of one-shots, we do a continuing storyline of some 5th edition adventures in Ravenloft, DM'd by James. In this campaign, I played a war cleric with great weapon fighter. Basically a different kind of paladin with more of a focus of mixing martial arts, ranged spell attacks, status magic, and of course, powerful healing. His whole shtick was that his church was basically an MLM. People generally got to laugh out of it. Golb, on the other hand, did not. He constantly criticized me for not playing my character like a cleric. How I should be saving my spell slots for buffs instead of using Guiding Bolt. He continued to ridicule me after the game and on my Discord server. I clapped back a few times and just let it be. It's all just imaginary shit anyways. At this point, I've been running games at the bar on Tuesdays for about 10 months. Stranger Things Season 4 just came out. We've seen a massive boon in new players. We went from around 2 tables of 4 players to 2 tables of 7 or 8. It got me thinking. I have enough players now to get some shirts printed up and get them all at cost. As soon as I announce the shirts, Golb announces he will also be printing shirts. I'm just thinking, man, wouldn't it be nice if we could just have one big order instead of being petty? LOL, it should be cheaper for everyone if we could order with a large volume. We could also chip in on professional illustrators and get something really iconic. I posted a video I made on his Facebook group to show off my portable DM kit I use. It's a nice little black case and with encounter cards in it, a nice compartment for dice, minis, and spell radius tiles. I was pretty proud of how it turned out, so I was excited to share it. He quickly deleted my post and said, "Do you use this for your Tuesday night games? This group is for Wednesday, tisk tisk tisk." He then suspended me from his Facebook group. Then he made his own Discord server and added everyone the link before leaving my server. Only about 4 of my players joined, including me. He shortly banned me from his server as well. I never made a single post there. Not sure what I did to piss this guy off so much, but live and let live. I'm not going to meet his pettiness with more pettiness. I'm just going to do shit, and I'm sure it will continue to be successful. In less than 1 year, I've grown to a level it took him 5 years to achieve. Although this crap is not a competition, the only win here is that to make sure the players have a good time, as well as making sure the bar gets some new customers. It would be really nice if we could have a cooperative relationship, and honestly, I didn't hate the guy. I'm sure if he was not trying so hard to not like me, we would probably be friends. We have a lot in common. It's unfortunate that things are where they are, and I don't see things changing from his perspective. On multiple occasions, I have asked him to grab a beer sometime so we can talk some of the things over and our conflicts out. He has turned me down every time. Also, still never been to one of my one-shot tarot games. Well, it just sounds like you've met what we call a negative Nancy. Some people are just bitter and insecure, and that's probably the only thing he had in life that had any value of him, and you came in and threatened him. Does that make you wrong? Absolutely not. Makes him kind of pathetic. But unfortunately, some people don't have much in life. And when that's all they have and that's their pride and joy, and you come take it away or threaten it, they're going to be very defensive. As ridiculous as it is, it is how it is. Unfortunately, sometimes you meet people like that and they probably wear a fedora and have a neckbeard. But it is what it is. At least you have a good attitude about it, and you will continue on, and I'm sure you'll be more than successful because your attitude and environment that you've created for the people seem to be a lot better. And that bar deserves something a lot better, because that sounds like such a cool bar, honestly. Anyways, that is all the tales for today. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you'd like to hear more, I'll come back again and I shall tell you some.